Hi guys, and thanks for watching me as newpairofglasses.com, and welcome to part 13, Slave Currency, in the Masters and Controllers series. What is money? Slave currency for our caste. How do we know that we are slaves? It is in our use of money. In this video, we will discuss why the money we use is slave currency and whether our property and our money is actually our own. Why do we say money is slave currency? Because when you are in the caste above us as a top-level controller, you don't use money. Did kings use money? No. The kings believed that God granted them and their families the right to rule over others. With the help of the clergy, and we will revisit this topic when we discuss religion, they easily controlled other lords who were forced to take an oath of fealty and loyalty towards the king to maintain their economic positions. Kings offered land to barons who were known as manors or fiefs. The barons or lords, mid-level controllers, of these manors enjoyed full privileges over these lands, and they taxed peasants and serfs who were using these lands. They also took rents from serfs to allow them to live in their manors. Land was the basis of the feudal society and the main source of income from the vast majority of the population. A noble's wealth and power were measured first and foremost in his land holdings, the territory or villages that owed him rent, either in money or in produce, usually a combination of both. Kings maintained their power and reign due to the ownership of land of their kingdoms. They used to collect taxes from lords, barons, the clergy, and the peasants through the economic means of the feudal system. Kings did not pay for anything, and they certainly didn't use currency. People offered goods, services, gold, and silver to kings, and kings dispersed this slave currency to those under him that used the currency. It is the same with top-level controllers today. They do not need to use money. When you own everything, there is no need to buy anything. They are offered valuable goods, services, and money. They, like kings, don't pay for anything. Think of how famous people get things for free, and they are still puppets. They are often offered money, clothes, jewelry, free dinners, housing, and many other things in exchange for promoting and bringing in business, to generate business for the ones giving them these things. It's the same with the top-level controllers. When you want the top-level controllers to pull strings for you, you offer them things. The higher you are on the pyramid, the less you pay for anything with actual money. The top-level controllers exist in a world beyond currency and beyond what we, the slaves, know. The John Wick movie series are great movies to watch to learn about the controllers and their dedication to the rules and the use of a different currency than what we, the regular people, use.
This is what you agreed to, Jonathan. Do what the man asks. Be free. Then, if you want to go after him, burn his house down, be my guest. But until then...
Rules.
Exactly. Rules. Without them, we live with the animals. Impeccable. Put these into circulation.
Just as a side note about John Wick 3, named Parabellum, released on May 17th, 2019, to show how everything means something. When you first look at the word parabellum and what it means a type of semi-automatic pistol or machine gun. But at a closer look, the etymology of the word means early 20th century, the name of a German make of gun, from Latin para, bellum, from para, prepare, bellum, meaning war. In the phrase sivi pacem parabellum, if you want peace, prepare for war. A very timely message about the war that will precede the peace after the MCO. What is the currency actually used by the top-level controllers, if they use any at all? Who knows, but it's not the money we use. The Rothschilds, though many believe are the top-level controllers, are not that at all. They are still puppets used to hide the real top-level controllers. If you know their names and they use money, they are not the top-level controllers. The true top-level controllers do everything in the shadows, and money is only used by slaves. Is your money or anything else really yours? The illusion perpetuated by the controllers is that people actually own things and have their own money, that their money is actually their own. You may think that it's just the ones who sold their soul whose money is not their own money. Well, it's you too. The money you think you have is not your money. Slaves aren't really allowed to own anything of their own. Money is used to control the slaves and allow them to work within their caste, among each other, to get necessary resources for life, only to operate for their necessary function for the controllers. But it is not the money that is really of value. It is the land and necessary resources that have the value. You do not really own anything. Your property or home is not really your own. They can take it at any time. Everybody is a renter. You do not own your home free and clear, even in the rare instance that you have paid off your mortgage. If you stop paying your property taxes, you will lose your home. In a perfect world, we would all own our homes free and clear, but this is not possible. Unless you have an alloidal title to your property, which is practically non-existent in the US, you don't really own your home. And even if you don't have a mortgage, since you have to pay property taxes, semantics and legal verbiage aside, do you truly own something if another entity will take that something away from you unless you pay an annual tax? Having a mortgage on your home only means you're indebted to some entity. This concept will come into play when we talk about selling your soul. Eminent domain is where the government can seize your property with supposed compensation, but that is up to them and under normal circumstances. But under martial law, they can seize everything you own without compensation. If the police, or the controller's enforcers, or federal government accuse you of a crime, they can seize your property. It is said that if it is unlawful, you can fight it. But who has the incredible amount of time and resources to invest in fighting against such a power and winning? Most people don't. If they want to find a reason to take what you have, they will find a reason and take it. Your children are not even your own. You are only their legal guardian. They can take them at any time. Refer to my video, Your Mama Sold You Into Slavery, on my YouTube content page. They can't have slaves walking around with a bunch of cash that is not really their own. This is example 1 of what happens when a slave has too much money on them.
This case resulted in a New York man losing a whopping $160,000 on a Tennessee interstate.
Even more startling, critics say it exposes a major loophole around a new law that's supposed to crack down on such abuses.
What you are seeing is video that one mid-state police agency kept under wraps for more than a year.
Hey, you don't have any knives on you, do you? No knives? No guns?
It shows how an Indian-American businessman from New York lost $160,000 during a nighttime traffic stop along I-40 in Dixon County. The cash was seized by an interdiction officer from the 23rd Judicial District Drug Task Force. The agency gets its funding by seizing cash, usually from out-of-state drivers.
That's all hundreds.
But in this case, instead of using state seizure laws, the agent from the 23rd took the cash to the feds, tying up the businessman's money in the federal courts.
This is example number 2, but there are many, many more.
Man, I don't know. I was flabbergasted, I guess, because honestly, I didn't think nothing much of it. I thought it was just, just going right through. And the officer seemed real nice and friendly. He seemed like a cool guy. Then he ruined my entire year and now a couple years of my life because of it.
They found no drugs. They found nothing. They tried to say it was drug money. They went to my phone. They found no evidence of any kind of drug, anything.
This is Michael Sanchez Ratliff, a 21-year-old Chicago resident. He was traveling to California in March of 2014 to spend time with family when the car he was in was stopped near Council Bluff for traveling 5 miles over the speed limit.
We got pulled over around 4 o'clock. The officer, he went to the driver's side. He was talking to the driver.
Yeah, come on back to the rear vehicle. I'll get you out of here. I got to write you out that warning, all right?
He was trying to be chatty, and, I'm talking because I don't see no problem. And then I guess he asked the driver to search. He pulled the driver out the car, and then they start talking.
But the stop quickly progressed into much more. After issuing the warnings to driver Leonardo Gonzalez, Deputy Miller began asking questions about the trip, discovering what he believed to be discrepancies in Gonzalez's and Ratliff's stories.
That's fine. Don't worry about it, Leo. Yeah, I understand. Hey, do you have any questions? No. Okay. Hey, can I ask you a couple questions?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't have anything illegal inside the vehicle?
No.
Okay.
Nothing.
No drugs?
No.
No drugs? Okay. Can I search the vehicle?
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna go up and ask him the same thing. Can I just have you sit back here for a second?
Then he's like, all right, while I'm searching, I'm going to search the car. He's like, do you have anything? I'm like, yeah, I have my backpack. I have a backpack and a bag of clothes. He's searching the car. When he goes through it, he finds my money in my backpack. I told him at first it was like $10,000, because I didn't tell him what was in the safety box. And then he was like, all right, well, give me the keys to your thing. I'm going to open up the safety box, because what was out was 10 grand. And then inside was, the other 10. So when he opens it up, he's like, oh, all this money right here. And then he's like, all right, well, he calls for backup, and then he's like, all right, well, you guys aren't going nowhere.
Sanchez can be heard on the video telling officers that the money was from working as a hotel valet. He also says a chunk came from his grandmother. The money, Sanchez told the Register, was intended to help him possibly relocate and attend school in California if the visit with his family went well.
I was real upset. I was so excited to see California, and then bam, dreams crushed right there. Honestly, I thought it was just going to be one court hearing, and then bam, I get it back. And then, reality smacked me in the face, and it turns out it wasn't like that. I was frustrated and angry, I was like, man, I'm finally my first apartment, my first time living on my own, and it's a bad experience. Ended up getting evicted.
The money was ultimately seized, and Sanchez spent much of the next 8 months and roughly $7,000 in attorney costs.
They make sure that their slaves do not travel with a certain amount of money. They can't have their slaves walking around with cash money that isn't theirs, giving them some level of freedom. So they put measures in place to make sure that doesn't happen. They will find any excuse for making sure you do not have that kind of cash on you. But they are only excuses. If you cannot have or travel with a certain amount of money, it forces you to have it in a bank, to which they make sure it is not in your possession and can disappear at any time. Why publicize these stories? There's a lot of slaves in the world, and they can't catch them all who carry large amounts of cash. The main motivation for the news covering these types of stories is to scare the rest of the population into keeping their money in the bank and not carrying it on them. The reasons given in news coverage for these types of seizures is false, but it doesn't matter because using fear to control the slaves is the motivation. The coverage of these stories work brilliantly. How many people would now be afraid to travel with that kind of cash? Depending on the country, situation, and the bank, they will put a limit of how much of your own money you can take out of the bank. Any withdrawals over $10,000 are mandatorily reported to the government in the United States. Money only has value because of the belief that it has value. When that belief disappears, it is just paper worth nothing. Who creates that belief, and what is it worth? The controllers. In economics, they call that the invisible hand of the markets. If the controllers don't use money, but rely on keeping control of the resources in land, then the value of money is completely fictional too. The Federal Reserve, which is not a federal organization at all, is a privately held company that controls the printing of all currency. Yes, it is the U.S. currency, but the U.S. currency is the world currency. Everything is exchanged in U.S. dollars. The controllers are in control of printing the money. There is no real value behind it. When you control the printing of money, you can keep printing and printing money with no limits on how much. It doesn't have the value we think. What you think is just a line at the bottom of your checks is not just a line. You will see an MP next to the signature line. That stands for microprint. Under a magnifying glass, you will see that it says authorized signature, meaning you are only given authorization from the controllers. The meaning of authorize: give formal approval or sanction to. And the etymology of signature, meaning from sig manuel, in late Latin denoting a marking on a sheep. Everything means something. They control everything: the markets, the world's resources, and us. The true value of these resources is unknown, but it doesn't matter because we don't own any of it anyway. We are just allowed to use it to a certain degree, only to serve the purposes needed for the controllers as slaves. Money, gold and silver coins, only have a believed value in the world where civilization designed by the controllers exists. When society collapses pre and post MCO, it will have zero value. There will be no markets, no commerce, no one to trade for coins and money. Nothing. The only thing of value will be things necessary for survival: food, water, shelter, supplies, medication, firearms, and the most valuable currency anyone can have: lead bullets. Whoever has the most of these will control everything. If you have money tied up in stocks, bonds, IRAs, or gold and silver coins, anything that will not be needed to survive once society crumbles, you are wasting the currency you could trade for valuable, necessary items to support and protect your life in the near future. To sum this up, everything you think you own your house, your land, your business, your car, your furniture, your money, your kids, etc., can be taken from you whenever they see fit, for whatever reason they want to give, because none of it is really yours. There are 1,000,001 reasons they can use to take what you have, and they will, and there isn't anything you can do about it. The illusion that you can accumulate things that are yours in this life if you work hard for it is a complete lie. Nothing is for free. Nothing comes without a cost, and nothing is really yours. The point of this video and the series is not the specific pieces of information given, but its greatest benefit is to create the entire picture of reality for what this means for us, who and what we really are, and our true place in the world. That's all I have for you guys today. Everybody stay safe, be good to one another, and God bless.